I'm Miss Kate, and today I'm going to introduce Literacy Teaching Toolkit from Department of Education and Training Victoria, which is very useful and practical for your work placement and future work as an early childhood educator and teacher. As you know, Storykate is very passionate about emerging literacy, telling stories, and anything to do with reading and performing drama and just learning language as well. So this toolkit is an amazing tool, and as you can see, I'm focusing on early childhood here. So you can find this toolkit on education.vic.gov.au. And if you click on, let's say, interacting with others, you can see that they have few links. So for example, you can click on teaching practices and storytelling. So that's what obviously Storykate is about, storytelling. So I learned so much about storytelling from this page. It does have all the benefits of storytelling, how to choose a story, create your own story, prepare for storytelling, what are storytelling components, and questions to ask, how to create stories with children, and a lot of wonderful examples of how to embed language in storytelling. You also can find links to some theoretical, concepts related to storytelling, and link it to Victorian framework, which is very similar to EYLF, which I always talk about. So, for example, when we choose the story, we can choose fairy tales, which my channel is focusing on a lot, or myths and legends, other fictional stories. You also can tell children your own stories and narratives, as long as you do consider cultural protocols, for example, dreaming and indigenous stories. It's better to check with the elders or Aboriginal councils and collaborate with, let's say, parents from this cultural background, which stories are appropriate. I'll give you an example. One of my students used this website and my advice, and she started to share stories from Indian folk stories that are like fables, very similar to Aesop fables. And one was an amazing story about a monkey and a crocodile. And I really loved the story. Children also engaged so well. So it was definitely age appropriate, and sounds, vocabulary, grammar was enriching these children's understanding. Also, it had some moral dilemma and just an amazing story. And the whole story was told verbally or orally, and that's the key idea. So they do teach you about how to complete your story. So if you're making up your own story, or even if you're using Three Little Pigs, you can see that each story has settings, problem. For example, settings is where pigs live. So it's summertime, ends of summer, and they're enjoying this beautiful weather. But there is a problem, right? So there is a wolf somewhere, and he might eat you. So then characters, how do they react? So you can see that first pig built a house with sticks, the second, or straw, the second builds the house with the sticks, and the third one decided to plan and build a proper house with bricks. So attempts to solve the problem. So the first approach of the wolf and the house is blown away, and then consequences. Then the second attempt, the house with sticks is blown away, and the consequences that this pig goes to the third one. And then the wolf attacks the third house, and the consequence is that he almost gets them, but then they work together to create a resolution or problem solve. So this is just any story, it actually will fit into this complete story episode. And it's just amazing tool to show. For example, you can see also Jack and the Beanstalk is unpacked here. So what I also like about this literacy toolkit is, if we go back, and it's a lot to explore, you can also find some fantastic ideas that are already written down. For example, experience plans. Yeah. So here you can see quite a lot of plans that are already completed. So let's look at something that might be in line with Storykate. Let's have a look. So for example, Three Little Pigs and Beyond, okay? So let's have a look at this one. So this is an experience plan, meaning that if your placement asks you to prepare a language or communication literacy experience for a group of children or for one child or for a small group, you can be inspired by this plan and use it for your wonderful placement experience that you are planning. So you can see that it has a lot of links to developmental areas. So what are you actually developing? Storytelling. Yes, so you are developing higher order language and story narratives understanding as concepts. You're also working on language and emergent literacy, and you support children interacting with others. You also can see clear goals to EYLF. Yeah, in this case, Victorian framework, but also EYLF. Yeah, so outcome 4. Children develop dispositions for learning, absolutely, and communication. Children engage with a range of texts and get meaning from these texts. I always add outcome 5 when I talk about books, or if I read a book and we discuss the book, or it's a storytelling session. But you can learn more from these experiences. They also have learning intentions, which you can easily change into the goals. And here you can see assessment of learning, how you're going to assess. Sometimes they say, how would you understand that children achieved the goals? And this is how you can see that. You can see when children make comments and respond to questions. And they might say, I think he must have been feeling scared, or I think the pigs might run off to find their friend. Yeah. Also, you can see when you're planning the experience, you need to describe resources. And here you go. Story props, 3 houses, 3 pigs, and the wolf. You can watch my video on 3 Little Pigs. I have some nice resources you can set up easily as well. So here you can see that how you're going to differentiate. So adjust it to children's skills, which is also nice to see. But the most important piece I think my students are struggling with is describing the plan, how you're going to approach teaching, yeah, or how you're going to facilitate learning. You always need to think about how you're going to introduce the experience to children. And you see that these plans are invaluable because they are showing you how you're going to run the story, what you're going to say, and then how you're going to complete the story. Okay? Also, most learning plans ask you for extension, or what's next, or follow up, or going further, as they call it here. So this experience, if you think about how to extend the storytelling session about little pigs, can be extended in many ways. Yeah, but the most simple one is to ask children for alternative ending. Yeah, what else could happen? Could wolf become friends with the pigs and help them to rebuild the house, or maybe something else, right? So maybe there would be 3 more wolves and they will build a village and will be friends with all pigs. You also can start launching into the STEM projects, such as building houses that are sturdy enough and would withstand the wind and bad weather, not just wolf blowing at them. So yeah, that's a lot of interesting follow-ups there. Here are questions that might help you to reflect, because now all educators have to reflect on the experiences, and this really helps you. And if you want to watch some videos how experienced educators run sessions, there are plenty of videos, such as Red Riding Hood's Soundscape, amazing plan, I really liked it. Leaf Colors, amazing one, and River of Words, definitely amazing Reggio Emilia, like Steiner kind of experience. So have a look, and you also can see some other ideas here. So that's just the tip of the iceberg, but I highly encourage you to check out this resource. It's called Literacy Teaching Toolkit, and it has a lot of wonderful ideas. Thank you for watching.